Hello friends, operator Starsky with a daily update from Kyiv, Ukraine. Today is day 477 since the full-scale Russian invasion. And the Russian fascists used cruise missiles to strike the city of Kryvyi Rih, Dnipro Oblast again. One missile was intercepted, the remaining three hit civilian enterprises. A 38-year-old civilian was wounded. Also 20 Iranian-made strike drones were intercepted overnight. Again, not a single military object was hit in Kryvyi Rih, no military personnel was targeted. So why do Russian terrorists keep firing missiles at civilian objects? First of all, it was a training flight because the piloting skills tend to deteriorate over time, and the Russians keep their pilots flying as often as possible. During a massive strike, the Russians usually launch tens of missiles, and during a training flight, a single Tu-95 fires a single missile, which was exactly the case tonight. Since the targets are not really important, the Russian terrorists launch missiles at whatever they can, whatever is programmed: schools, hospitals, grocery stores, residential complexes, and so on. This is part of their training on live targets. Obviously, after numerous failed attempts to strike major cities, the Russian fascists found a gap in the air defense in this very area, and even though, again, it has no military value whatsoever, but the Russians simply feel better when the Ukrainians die. However, they can't do much more to cope with their losses in Ukraine because 580 Russian invaders were neutralized in our country yesterday. Also, 12 Russian tanks and 11 artillery systems were hit by the Ukrainian defenders. The number of the effective strikes on the Russian terrorists increased since April. We know about 1,600 successful strikes carried out by the Ukrainian Air Force and missile artillery in the past 10 weeks. Also, the Russians came up with this hilarious idea of using cheap drones to destroy expensive Ukrainian vehicles and equipment. And I admit it's a really effective solution. However, even a cheapest Russian strike drone is still many times more expensive than a cheap Ukrainian decoy hit by a Russian strike drone. They absolutely lost this one, in my opinion. Quite a few people in the comments were so much abused by the new petition proposed by the citizens of Kyiv to install a statue of a tiger shark in a capital of Ukraine. The people were completely shocked because the Russian tourists able to have peaceful vacations, chilling at the beaches of Egypt, were shown absolutely no empathy by the evil Ukrainians hiding from the Russian cruise missiles in the bomb shelters with their kids every single day. In total, 778 air alerts sounded in Ukraine since the beginning of the Russian invasion. As of now, the Ukrainian civilians and their children spent in total 918 hours in the bomb shelters. I'm very sorry, but unless you experience the same, unfortunately you will never be able to teach the Ukrainians empathy while enjoying the safety of your peaceful country, because it's very easy to stay positive and neutral when you don't have to hide your kids from the Russian bombers, Iranian strike drones, mobilized Russian convicts beheading people and raping minors, and so on. Greta Thunberg, ecology activist, during a protest in Bonn, condemned the Russian ecocide in Ukraine. Hopefully it will raise people's awareness since the impotent peacekeeping institutions still unable to do so. Kadyrov's bro, Adam Delinkhanov, who was reported dead, showed up in a recent video published in the Russia's social media.
Хочу рассеять слухи, что господин Делимханов то ранен, не можем его найти. Я тоже разделил масло огонь. Адаму Султановичу были поставлены задачи Верховным Главнокомандующим, и эти задачи успешно выполняются. Маринка, Запорожье, Херсон, Белгород.
What kind of magic is this? Can you please explain me? How can you even talk without moving your lips? Like David Copperfield or something. Oh my god. So, there's only two versions. First, because Kadyrov never said dawn in this video, obviously it was heavily edited in order to show the audience that Kadyrov can actually speak properly, like a normal person. And second version is that it was an older video, again heavily edited because they were mentioning the Kherson front in this video, which makes no sense to me. Personally, I'm not stating Dalimkhanov is dead unless it's confirmed. At the same time, it's possible. For example, Kadyrovite General Magomed Tushayev, allegedly killed in Hostomel last year, completely disappeared from the news and hasn't been seen ever since, even though Russians published some kind of video which could be older video. For example, last month Kadyrovite media announced that Tushayev's regiment was sent to Ukraine. We have a video showing this very regiment before departure, but still there's no signs of Tushayev himself. And if you ever served in the army, you must know that your commander must be there. It's his responsibility. But who knows, maybe instead of staying with his troops, he decided to enjoy a cold one or spend time with his wife. I don't know, we can only guess. My name is Operator Starsky, as always, be safe.